Hey everyone, welcome back to the Binger. Did you miss us? Marvel Phase 3 is capping off this month with the release of Avengers Endgame. With a title like that, some fans are worried that the MCU is coming to an end, but it's just the beginning. So to speak, it's a metaphor. You know someone is evil when their name sounds like Annihilation. If you thought Thanos was bad, wait until you meet this guy. As the on-again, off-again ruler of the negative zone, he could definitely give the Avengers a run for their money. ANNIHILUS first appeared in 1968's Fantastic Four Annual as the brainchild of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Not only is he a scary guy personality-wise, but he has the goods to back it up. He kept the inhabitants of the negative zone in check by using his cosmic control rod. He's butted heads with the Fantastic Four numerous times. Every time he gets close to invading Earth, the pesky foursome manages to foil his plan. What's a guy to do when he can't even take over a darn planet? So, what part could ANNIHILUS play in Phase 4? He has a cool costume and the ability to manipulate matter and energy, but it goes beyond that. One of ANNIHILUS's biggest appearances was in 2004's Annihilation. The comic included the destruction of Xandar, which was mentioned but not seen in Avengers 3. This big bad guy has some big bad plans that could play out nicely on screen. With the Avengers being so powerful, they need a foe that matches them. Villains also need to be entertaining enough to keep us watching, and there are a host of actors who could propel this part into outer space. It's an exciting prospect. Okay, the name really doesn't have much potential to strike fear into hearts, we'll give you that. Actually, it reminds me of the little green alien that would sometimes appear on The Simpsons. Yeah, anyway, long before Matt Groening pinched the name, Kang the Conqueror was making waves in Marvel Comics. Once known as Nathaniel Richards, the 31st century mastermind starts out as a simple guy with a lust for learning. His story isn't as simple as getting bitten by a radioactive spider, that's for sure. There's way too much for us to go into here, so let's just give you the cliff notes. Nathaniel discovers the time travel tech created by Dr. Doom, travels back to ancient Egypt and becomes a pharaoh. He gets his butt kicked by the Fantastic Four and then goes back to the 20th century. He becomes the Scarlet Centurion and plots to get rid of the Avengers. And breathe. As one of the most complex Marvel characters, there's so much that could be done with Kang in Phase 4. Writers would have a field day. He's fought Iron Man, Wasp, Hank Pym, Thor, and the Cap before. Plus, time travel is Kang's jam, and there are lots of rumors that Avengers work some mojo in Endgame to undo the snap. If time is being messed with, that could be a good reason to introduce the Purple Menace into the game. Just like Thanos, Kang's intentions aren't black and white, which makes him prime villain material. Galactus is one of the most famous Marvel bad guys for a reason. He's simply so powerful that most characters don't stand a chance. That doesn't mean that he hasn't seen his fair share of defeat, but it's usually down to circumstance. If the writers decide to go in this direction, then it's go big or go home. Thanos is bad enough, but the Mad Titan pales in comparison to the Destroyer of Worlds. He's got an insatiable hunger for planets, and it's like the whole universe is an all-you-can-eat buffet to this dude. Some fans think that bringing Galactus into the mix would be a good reason to introduce the Fantastic Four. The Four have been on screen before, but aren't strictly part of the MCU that we know and love. The gang of superheroes play a big part in many storylines, and it's only a matter of time before they resurface. Being one of the oldest villains in the Marvel world also gives Galactus an advantage over other potential villains. Over the years, he's come head-to-head with several key characters, including Thor and even Thanos himself. He has plenty of connections to usher him into the MCU. Thanos has a desire to balance out the world, doing what he believes to be necessary. We might not agree with him, but you have to respect that he's doing something that he feels is right. With Galactus, there's not really a code. He simply needs to consume life, and if he doesn't, he will perish. How do you fight something that is literally doing what it needs to survive? We would love to see how that would play out. Dun dun dun! Doom is an obvious candidate, and we promise it's not only because of his truly evil name. Victor Von Doom has already appeared in the Fantastic Four movies, but he's worth so much more than the scripts he's been given so far. The crazed doctor didn't have the best start in life, which set him on a despicable path. It shouldn't be an excuse, but that's the way it is. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee put their heads together to create a villain to pit against the Four, coming up with this evil genius. Not only is he insanely smart, he can also perform some serious magic. Reed Richards might be the one that really gets his goat, but the Doctor has clashed with many big names. Thor, Odin, the Watcher, and the X-Men have all felt his wrath. Making Dr. Doom a villain in the next part of the MCU would also switch it up a little. He's of human origin, which could make for some interesting moral dilemmas. Doom's powers would also keep the CGI department busy as they include flying energy blasts. All those elements make for a great baddie that utilizes more than just brute strength. It has to be done right, though, to erase the terrible versions of the character that were in the Fantastic Four movies. Who would you imagine playing the part? Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, has already featured in several Marvel TV shows. In the recently canned Daredevil, Fisk gave Matt Murdock hell as a crime lord in New York City. In the comics, he started out as a thorn in the side of Spider-Man, but he also had several run-ins with the Avengers. Purely human, but with impressive strength, the Kingpin would make for an interesting foe. He has the seedy underbelly of the NYC on his side and heads a gang that would do anything for him. The bulky suit-wearing brute rules with an iron fist, so it's not surprising that his minions are afraid of him. He might be mere mortal, but he's managed to get over on Peter Parker numerous times. In the Ultimate Universe, he reveals the identity of Parker and threatens to expose him to the world. That's not an easy thing to do. Many have tried, but few have succeeded. Liev Schreiber voiced the animated character for Into the Spider-Verse, but we can't help but feel like the villain deserves to take a step up. We love TV shows and cartoons, but to really be appreciated in the MCU, he needs a prominent role. Some fans speculate that he may appear in the upcoming Spider-Man movie, which wouldn't be a stretch. No, he can't fly or doesn't have any magical powers, but sometimes the real horror is in the humanity. If writers go down this path, then Mephisto could propel Doctor Strange 2 to new heights. Like Galactus, Mephisto is one of the best-known bad guys in the Marvel Universe. He was crafted after the ultimate villain of all time, the Devil. First introduced in the Silver Surfer number 3, he was described as, quote, the Tempter, who could offer the endlessly soul-tormented Silver Surfer the world. Only it would cost him his soul. The Surfer turned the deal down, but couldn't defeat the evil being. Mephisto has managed to get on the bad side of many a character, including Doctor Doom. He managed to capture the soul of Doom's mother, Cynthia, but she was eventually freed. Thor, Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, and Franklin Richards have all been victims of his scheming. Doctor Strange has been at loggerheads with the Big M for decades. That's what we're calling him now, the Big M. It's time to bring their fight to the big screen. They both focus on magic and sorcery to dominate their foes, so it could make for an impressive showdown. This red-clad savage doesn't just stop at stealing souls. He has some brilliant powers to back up his plots, too. Mephisto can toy with his opponents by projecting illusions and is known to be a skilled manipulator. After all, you can't just get someone's soul by offering them a candy bar. Well, maybe a Reese's peanut butter cup. Anyway, he's also really hard to defeat. Anytime he gets hurt, he just crawls back to his own realm to lick his wounds. Then he comes back swinging. Keep an eye on this one, we're almost certain that he will appear at some point in Phase 4. Madame Masque and Black Widow have a lot in common. Like Natasha Romanoff, Whitney Frost had a complicated upbringing. Frost was part of a rich family, but when her father passed away, crime lord Count Nefaria revealed that he was her real daddy. She took her place at his side and eventually took over as the leader of his organization. Although her character goes a long way back, Madame Masque hasn't been explored to her true potential. She's had romantic dalliances with Tony Stark and recently butted heads with Black Widow for the first time, so she has plenty of entry points. Sometimes showing up as a mysterious masked character, Frost has similar skill sets to Romanoff. We know that there's a standalone Black Widow movie in the works. Could Frost be the villain that she comes up against? There's plenty that the MCU could do with the character, as she is an established villain with an interesting backstory. Male villains still have the monopoly in the MCU, so introducing Madame Masque would be the perfect way to even the playing field. Natasha might not be used to having her skills tested against someone with similar attributes, which would make for a tense rivalry. There are also plenty of actresses that would absolutely kick butt in this role. Emily Blunt has been skirting around the edges of Marvel movies for years now, so maybe if the stars align. Okay, so there isn't really anything to suggest that the Taskmaster will be entering the MCU, but just hear us out. If creators want something completely new to catch audiences off guard, then Anthony Tony Masters might be the perfect way to go. The best part about his character would be his ability to mimic other characters. As soon as he sees someone else in combat, he knows all of their best moves and is able to copy them exactly. It could make for some beautifully choreographed scenes with the likes of Black Widow and McCap. When it comes to his motives, Taskmaster is notoriously changeable. In the comics, he's been both an enemy and an ally to Deadpool, and has worked as a sleeper agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. Masters is one of the younger characters in this list, as he didn't get introduced until 1980. Despite his age, Taskmaster has still managed to cover quite a lot of ground in his time. He's featured prominently in Avengers The Initiative, so has already crossed paths with some of our favorite costume-clad heroes. He could bring a whole new type of excitement to the game, which shouldn't be underestimated. Master's combat skills are unparalleled, so he could make for a great enemy or even an eventual ally. Loki turned a new leaf, so it's not completely bizarre to think that Taskmaster could go the same way. Starting out as a new menace, but turning into a powerful friend could be an interesting way to flip the script on what we've seen in the MCU so far. What do you think? Have we picked a motley crew looking for the job, or are there other characters you'd like to see? Let us know in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Before you jet off, make sure you give us a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so we know you like us. Until next time, see you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.